Hello and welcome to another trip along Line 4, and here I am on the Albert Bridge in Ghent waiting for the tram to take me further along the line on a cold winter's day in Ghent. And while I'm waiting, let's have a look at what happened at the last video. Well, we checked out the Coupure and we saw the Ekegem Church complete with its crooked steeple. We visited the Bijlokker and we saw the City Museum. So now let's get back to the Albert Bridge. Well, the Albert Bridge, which of course was named after King Albert of Belgium, was built in 1908. Originally laid with cobblestones, and it was tested by using 8 horses pulling a wagon with 20,000 kilos of ballast in it. That was to test its strength. The Koning Albertlaan, or the King Albert Lane, was built at the turn of the 20th century to link the Bijlokker to the Citadel Park, where the locations for the 1913 World Exhibition were. It's also the main road from Bijlokker to Gent St. Pieters station. This is an interesting straat, just off of the Koning Albertlaan. This is the Prosper Class straat. And the houses along here, which were built at the turn of the 20th century, were built to house destitute old couples, because in those days old people's homes were not of mixed men and women. So if you were married and you had to go to an old people's home, you had to be split up. So these were built to house all these old people, and the names of the people who funded these houses you will see on sort of plaques on the side of the walls. I'm not sure if they're still used by destitute old people, but quite an interesting little story anyway. There's an interesting bike shop along the Koning Albertlaan. Sells sort of little models made out of bicycle parts. I see he's selling a bike with a brand name of Freddie Mercury, which is a sort of a retro looking Eddie Merckx type of model. Gent St. Pieters station was built in 1912 as preparation for the World Exhibition of 1913. Around 60,000 travellers use Gent St. Pieters station every day, making it the busiest station outside of Brussels. In 1975 it was noticed that the clock tower was leaning slightly. This was due to years of wear. And it wasn't until 2005 that it was broken down brick by brick and rebuilt to the same style as the original. So on the corner of the Maria Hendrikaplein, where the where the station is, you'll see this old building, which was also built for the World Exhibition in 1913, as a hotel, but it's now used as offices by the National Belgian Railway, originally called the Flandria Palace Hotel. In fact, if you look closely on the side of the wall, on the corner there, you'll see FP, Flandria Palace. Well, that tunnel in the middle, or what's left of the tunnel, that used to be the tunnel for the trams that came around from the back of the station. And over there, on the right, there used to be a post office over there. Everything's been knocked down over the years. And that big building that you see, that's a sort of a government building now. That's fairly new. The area around the station used to be full with cafes, bars, and little discos and things. A lot of these have all gone now, and many of the buildings around the area are apartments or studios for the university students. In the hall of the station, at the front side, you will see many beautiful murals which were painted for the opening of the station, depicting different cities in Belgium. I always remember arriving at Gent St. Pieters station back in the 80s and the smell of waffles, and the waffle sellers are still there today. And who would have guessed 40 years later I'd be eating a waffle again at Gent St. Pieters station. Our project Gent St. Pieters began in 2006. And now, 17 years later or something, it's still going on and still not completed. Project Gent St. Pieters is a building project which will expand the station at the back to cope with the 60,000 or so travellers that use it every day. Well, the street along the back of Gent St. Pieters station, which is the Albertlaan, when I first came here years ago, back in the 80s, this was cobbled, and also where you see on the right side there all the work that's going on, there used to be a tram line there. So yeah, it's almost unrecognisable now. This area here at the back of the station where all these bikes are parked. When I first came here, these are all houses and shops and things. So now everything's been knocked down. Yeah, this brings back some memories because that cafe on the corner there, the Rambler, that was one of the very first cafes I visited in Ghent back in the 1980s. Then it was just a small, bar, but now it's sort of expanded into a restaurant. Well, this road that goes up from the station is the Koningin Elizabeth Lane, the Queen Elizabeth Lane, and when it was urbanised the turn of the 20th century, the buildings along here were chic houses, and they all had, or many of them had, front gardens. Now everything's been changed into shops. Oh, but he's still here. This white horse. This was here when I first came to Gent 40 years ago. It's the entrance of a liquor store. This has been here for years and years. This hasn't changed at all. I'm walking away from the station. To my right is the railway line behind all the buildings here. This is the Princess Clementina Laan, and the reason I'm walking along here is because I am getting in touch with my past. Because when I first came to Gent back in the 80s, I stayed in a hotel along here, and the hotel is gone, but the building is still there, and I'm trying to locate which building it was. The name of the hotel was La Lanterne, Hotel La Lanterne, and I believe it's that building there, the white building to the left of that white fan. And I remember it was next to a Chinese restaurant. That Chinese restaurant is still there, and it looks as if Hotel La Lanterne is now turned into apartments. But anyway, nice to see it hasn't been knocked down anyway. And here's a photo of the station that I took from a room in La Lanterne. And here's another photo that I took in the same year. Well, if you've enjoyed the video, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you at the next halt.